The sound of flutes brings music to students' ears, bringing a Valentine's Day smile to sick children. Ultimate Frisbee whizzes by the Ryder campus. Welcome to the news at Ryder. I'm Katie LaCourte. Volante Flutes, an ensemble of Westminster Conservatory faculty members, played to a packed art gallery in the BLC on Thursday, February 8th. The ensemble comprised of faculty Jill Crawford, Ellen Fisher-Dierberg, Catherine McClure, and Barbara Heighton-Williams. They performed classical music from French composers such as Pierre-Max Dubois, Florence Schmidt, and Bizet, to name a few. Rob Sparling has the details.
On Thursday, February 8th, faculty members of the Westminster Conservatory performed Volante Flutes to a packed art gallery on the second floor of the BLC. The quartet played soothing classical music from the French composers Schmidt, Dubois, and Bizet, to name a few. Audience members walked away from the performance pleased with what they heard and had positive things to say about the quartet.
Wonderful. I loved the variation, and it was just a lot of fun.
I loved the Dubois. I thought the Dubois, which was the penultimate piece, was really, it just had a lot of energy, and I liked the way the flutes combined together.
It was awesome. I thought it was wonderful. Yeah. Yes, it was very, very entertaining and very soothing. The music was beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Ellen Fisher-Dierberg has performed in numerous solo recitals and concerts throughout the Delaware Valley. We asked Ms. Dierberg how long she has been playing the flute and her background in getting started in playing.
Longer than I can remember, at least 25 years.
What got you into playing the flute?
I failed chemistry.
At college?
High school.
High school, okay. Catherine McClure is an active chamber and orchestra member and regular performer with the Riverside Symphony, Edison Symphony, the Greater Trenton Symphony Orchestra, and the Princeton Symphony. Ms. McClure elaborated on her favorite types of music and the audience's reaction from the performance.
Well, I love this French music that we played today. Contemporary French music is a lot of fun to play and to listen to.
What did you think about tonight's performance, or the audience, or the crowd?
I thought the audience was very responsive, very warm, very easy to play for.
For more recitals, Ms. Dierberg will be performing at the First and Central Presbyterian Church in Wilmington, Delaware on March 8th at 12 p.m. This has been Rob Sparling, Channel 20 News at Ryder.
The sound of music didn't stop at the art gallery. In continuing the celebration of Black History Month, the Guild Chapel at Rider University hosted St. Benedict's African American Gospel Choir on Sunday, February 11th during the evening Mass. Elizabeth Milnicki reports.
I promise to stop the whole stop, nothing but stop. One more time. I promise to stop the whole stop, nothing but stop.
Guild Chapel was alive with the inspirational sounds of St. Benedict's African American Gospel Choir, part of a long tradition at Guild Chapel during Black History Month.
One of their choirs has been coming every year for the last 11 in celebration of Black History Month.
The choir was conducted by William Winston, and the invitation to perform came from Father Bruno.
You know, one of the things we forget, that even from a religious standpoint, the blacks have contributed a great deal to liturgy, no matter whether it's Protestant or Catholic, and it's good to honor them and let people see what their talent is in the line of worship. I think it brings to the fore the fact that we are a multicultural nation, and we have to respect the heritage of our black brothers and sisters as much as Italians and Spaniards and French and anyone else.
I also asked Father Bruno how long this special celebration at Guild Chapel will continue.
The celebration will go as long as people enjoy it and want it.
I'm Elizabeth Milnicki for the News at Ryder.
The Ryder Fine Arts Department will be performing Gross Indecency, the three trials of Oscar Wilde, at 8 p.m. on February 16th, 17th, 23rd, and the 24th in the Yvonne Theater in the Fine Arts Building. There will be a preview show on Thursday, February 15th at 7 p.m., with tickets priced at $4. Regular show tickets are $10 for adults and $5 for students and seniors. If students are unable to attend some of the Riders' artistic endeavors, it is still possible to find podcasts of these events with a running commentary on the Rider website. The current podcast features Dr. Joe Miller, Westminster's Director of Choral Activities, and Blaise Mickelson, WWFM radio host, who discussed the upcoming March 24, 2007 performance of Giuseppe Verdi's Requiem by the Westminster Symphonic Choir and Festival Orchestra. Students can also read about Westminster campus ventures. Westminster College of Rider University has collaborated with Chorus America to publish Conductor's Count, what chorus boards, music directors, and administrators need to know. This is the first book of its kind to describe the role of choral music directors and their job responsibilities in their organization. Westminster's new Director of Choral Activities, Dr. Joe Miller, was co-author of the book's foreword, and he also participated in its professional review panel. Dr. Jack Sullivan, Professor of English and Director of Rider's American Studies program, will talk about his new book, Hitchcock's Music, in the Rider University Art Gallery on Monday, February 19th, from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sullivan has enjoyed significant national and international media exposure for his book. He will be speaking as part of the English Department's Movies in America guest speaker series. Another speaker came to the Rider campus to impart his wisdom on students on February 13th. John Thibault, the education manager for the Roy Edelman Institute for Interpretation and Education of the Chemical Heritage Foundation, spoke about Percy Julian, one of the first African-American chemists, in a lecture entitled A Life in Science. Thibault was sponsored by the Trenton Local Section of the American Chemical Society and the Rider Department of Chemistry, Biochemistry, and Physics. On a sad note, Anne Brossman Swigert, alumni, trustee, and generous donor, passed away Thursday, February 1st, 2007. She was 92 years old. Mrs. Swigert was a 1934 graduate of Rider, honorary Doctor of Laws recipient in 1995, and member of the Board of Trustees from 1995 to 2007. Mrs. Swigert made one of the largest gifts in Rider University history. In response to her generosity, the university named the College of Business building, which was completed and dedicated in 1988, the Anne Brossman Swigert Hall. A memorial service was held Tuesday afternoon, February 6th, at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Pink, red, and candy hearts can only mean Valentine's Day. But Protestant Campus Ministry is not celebrating the holiday just any old way, but has discovered a new way to bring some cheer to sick little children and spread the love. Here's Vito Ferrara with this story.
Hugs and Hope is an organization that helps raise the spirits of chronically ill children by making packages of toys and cards. Protestant Campus Ministry sponsored a Valentine's Day card, making an event this past February 11th inviting the Rider campus. Volunteers enjoyed the movie and special Valentine snacks while creating cards for kids. Students came up with the catchy sayings to bring a smile to children's faces. Meanwhile, avoiding the phrase, "get well soon," Hugs and Hope Happy Mail begins with parents submitting their sons or daughters' names to the organization if they have a health problem. Volunteers around the U.S. write and have even become pen pals to these children. Beth Rumble, president of Protestant Campus Ministry, feels that this is an important event to help Hugs and Hope.
Protestant Campus Ministry is involved with a lot of community service events. You know, we work with Homefront, which helps disadvantaged children, and this organization, Hugs and Hope, is a national program that helps kids with serious illnesses. And it's hard around the holidays, you know, for a family to feel like their kids have been forgotten or if they're spending all their time in the hospital. So we really wanted to make Valentines for a couple of the children on the website, you know, to support them and send some love.
It is still possible to help with Hugs and Hope. Volunteers can log on to www.hugsandhope.org, then write cards and even send balloons. Hugs and Hope accepts cards for all holidays, as well as just cards of encouragement. Here at the Guild Chapel, students drew, colored, and glued the way of happiness to these sick children. I'm Vito Ferrara, Channel 20, News Outrider. Back to you, Katie.
Speaker John Baker came to the Fireside Lounge in the BLC and told his story of his life with diabetes. He explained the different types of the serious disorder and how it occurs in different races. He also went into detail on how he became diabetic and told students how best to prevent it. Brian Persons reports.
Student Danielle Holmes of Delta Sigma Theta was able to reach John Baker, and she feels that the students were well informed at the Diabetes Forum.
I think they actually enjoyed it. I overheard a couple people saying that they needed to get tested now. I was trying to stay away from it because I figured I was young, I might not be at risk, but I know now that I am, and it comes in children, adults, teenagers, all ages.
John Baker came from humble beginnings to where he is today.
Really in Mississippi, from my parents. Growing up on a farm, experimenting.
John Baker captured the audience by explaining what kinds of foods he ate as a child.
I mean, banana pudding, yams, raisins in it. Still stuff that sounded really good, but it was high in glucose, high in sugar content. But at the time, it's like, hey, that's what we eat.
After he had the students' attention, John Baker went into more depth about diabetes and what symptoms led to this.
Increased appetite, blurred vision, and weight loss.
His talks are very informative and allow students to really think about their own health.
Well, each talk, I think that I'm giving students information that is not just from the book. It's not rote knowledge, but it's from real-life practical applications. And I try to give real-life examples from clinical and also from my personal life to kind of make it feel like it's more at home.
This has been Brian Persons for the News at Rider.
Rider is doing its best to help others in need during the month of February. As part of Rider University's observance of the annual Mac Fights Back campaign, the men's and women's basketball games on Friday, February 9th at 5:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. were dedicated to the cause. The program was designed to increase awareness about breast cancer and breast cancer prevention, created in honor of Senior MAC Associate Commissioner Barbara Church, who was diagnosed with breast cancer several years ago. The women's teams, Rider and Niagara, wore pink T-shirts during warm-ups provided by the MAC. Additionally, Rider coaches and staff in both games wore pink ribbons. Members of the Rider athletic staff were also on hand with pink ribbons and educational materials on breast cancer awareness. Any member of the Rider family who has a breast cancer survivor was invited to the game and encouraged to wear pink. Despite the recent cold weather, Rider sports is hotter than ever. Andrew Kasparine is the new captain for the Rider Ultimate Frisbee team. Kasparine plans on taking the team in a new direction by changing the way things are structured. He hopes to propel the members farther than ever before. Brian Persons has the story.
Daly's Field on Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 7 is usually filled with members of the Rider Ultimate Frisbee Club. This year, though, the team is moving and shaking. The team also meets from 4 to 7 on Fridays and Sundays. Andrew Kasparine, the new team captain, is trying to create a new environment that is fun and competitive.
Mondays, right now we practice in the SRC. Schedules are a little messed up. Usually it's Fridays and Sundays are team practice, but sometimes we take a Tuesday or something. Team is learning how to do drills, learning how to do plays, things like that, and just understanding how to do everything. So it's going to tournaments, playing against other teams, being very competitive. Club is more relaxed. Anyone can play, all skill levels. There's really all skill levels in any shape. Team is just much more competitive.
If interested in joining Rough, the process is easy. Men and women are encouraged to partake throughout the year, and making the team is up to a vote.
Team, and if you show skills on the team, like you're picking up passes, your catching is good, your throwing is good, then it goes to a vote by the executive board committee, and usually it's unanimous. If somebody comes up for a vote, they usually get on the team, and that's pretty much it.
Kasparine is extremely excited for where the team is heading. Rough is going into scrimmages, matches, and heading towards their lofty goal.
Slaughtered last year. This year we're hoping to do better. We're trying to, go to as many tournaments as we can, learn from as many people as we can, scrimmage as much as we can, and in the end we're really hoping to, Zach, our president's goal was by the time he left to go past sectionals and go into regionals. It's quite a goal. I'm optimistic it could happen. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Very. My role as captain affecting the team, I have the very arduous task of trying to organize the team into the position it's going to go in. It means actually going...
Interested in joining the team? Contact Andrew Kasparine at kasparine@rider.edu. This has been Brian Persons for the News at Rider.
The SRC held a late night at the SRC on Saturday, February 10th. The event was open to all Rider students to come out, enjoy some food, and play games. The main event of the evening was a trivia game where teams competed by answering on world geography, chemistry, and movie subplots. Late night at the SRC was hosted by Recreation Programs and the Club Sports of Rider. The annual Rider University Ball is quickly approaching. Students can purchase tickets at the ticket booth for $15. This Rider tradition is a semi-formal with dancing and dinner hosted in the Cavallo Room from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. Along with the campus's available internship opportunities, Rider University will now be offering its students a co-op program. Kelly Dixon has the story.
There's been a lot of buzz around Rider's campus about a new co-op opportunity that is now in the works. Dr. Rick Turner of the Communications Department is one of the masterminds behind the plan. Dr. Turner explained how a student semester would work while participating in the co-op program.
So they would not go to class that semester. They would be registered as a full-time student. They would get credits, but they would actually go to a job site instead of going to class. Now, in communication, we had our first one, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, but we had our first example of this fall, where we had a young lady who worked at Disney World in Florida, and she was there the entire semester. She was paid, and she never came to campus, but she communicated with me through email and handed in a final paper, and so that's the way the process would work. Now, why are we doing this? One, because it is a more in-depth professional experience, which is valuable as far as filling out a resume and giving you professional work experience. And two, to be honest, we want to be competitive with other schools, because obviously even the state schools in Pennsylvania are doing this now, and Rutgers and others do it, so we want to be included in this, and we think that's important. And it's not just about competition, but we feel it's important to make sure we offer what other schools do. So we put together a proposal, took about a year, it's been passed. Now, the thing to make clear is that every department has to make a decision whether, one, they want to be involved in the co-op program, two, do they want to have some guidelines over the general guidelines.
Now, if students are worried about achieving the right amount of credits and time management, this problem has already been considered by the creators of this program.
Many people have heard of programs like at Drexel University in Philadelphia, where they tell a student when they come in, you are going to be in a 5-year program. They know they're going to have 2 co-ops. They understand that when they get started. But on the other side, although they go 5 years, they also are going to be earning money for a whole year out of that. So they don't see a serious problem with that. Our program would be different, more like the Rutgers program, as I understand it, in some of the state schools like Westchester and Kutztown and some in Pennsylvania, where it's part of your 4-year program. If you get 12 credits, it's up to you to make up those other 3 credits at some point.
I think it's a great opportunity. It's in the beginning works, obviously, so it's hard to judge whether or not you'd be able to do it, balancing out coursework, how long you want to take to graduate, if you have a double major, all those kinds of things. That's something I would have to consider, but it's a great opportunity, and a lot of people would agree with me on this. None of us have any money because we're in college. It'd be a great way to continue your education and not only get some work experience, but maybe work off a little bit of that debt and just feel more comfortable with your situation. But it sounds phenomenal. It sounds like a great way to get some experience.
For the News at Rider, I'm Kelly Dixon.
The Student Senate met on Tuesday to discuss recent campus issues. Nicholas Balassi reports.
Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs Janet Friedman Krupnik spoke to the Senate about replacing the diner with Cranberries for late-night food services.
All of you have complained over and over about the wait in the diner, that the orders, there's only one line. I mean, the configuration of the diner doesn't really lend itself to the number of people that are using it in short periods of time. Whereas Cranberries, you've got 3 different stations.
Students raised various concerns.
Number one, it's going to be hard to control when the pub is open. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, we can have 225 people on a pub night. So making sure that we have the right people in the pub and the right people out in Cranberries is going to be a really interesting task to see how, like, you know, all that's going to be responded to. And the other thing, too, that we have like a lot of time in Senate, like, I come from the if it's not broke, why fix it mentality. What is the driving concern by opening up Cranberries? Is it because we think that there's, do you honestly think there's going to be more revenue from a Cranberries open than the diner? Like, what is the, nobody's really calling for it.
Matt Smith, director of Airmark Dining Services, responded to these claims.
I would say there should be public safety in that building every night if that's the student hangout at night, because that's where student activity is. You have public safety in that building during pub nights. You have 2 at the door.
There is no financial gain. It's like
Right.
it's a wash.
I mean, I'll probably need more staff to staff Cranberries than I currently use to
It's
staff.
to better serve students in the nighttime area.
A security issue with the welcome kiosk was raised.
Extremely helpful. But what do you guys think about the area where
the public safety officer sits. Like, there's
You can walk on our campus. Like, we don't care about who is on our campus. We care about who drives on our campus. And I like the fact that I know the security officers and I can drive by at night and they can recognize me or my car and I can wave and they can let me in.
After the meeting, the diner was mainly on the students' minds.
I think that the diner brings a certain atmosphere on campus at night, and that students really rely heavily on it, and that if they did change it, then students would find it in the long run to be a little bit disappointing and a little bit of a thing lost at Ryder.
I hope that if it does go through, then Cranberries is open late night. I hope that students really take an ownership to Cranberries, that, you know, it is brand new, it's nicer. Maybe they'll treat it a little bit better, because coming into the diner, you're already like, oh, it's old, you know.
Right.
You kind of don't really have that same ownership as Cranberries.
Now, the university will continue in talks with Airmark about possibly moving late-night dining services from the Bronx Diner to Cranberries. Until then, if students are concerned about the issue, they should think about joining the Student Senate next Tuesday to voice their opinion. In the Swaggart Auditorium, I'm Nicholas Balassi, Channel 20, News at Ryder.
There are also many ways to get involved on campus, even during the summer, for employment opportunities. Conference Services are looking for students for this upcoming summer 2007 to be summer camp and conference assistants and study tour counselors. Applications and reference forms are due Friday, February 23rd at 4 p.m. Students can log on to the Ryder website for job descriptions, applications, and reference forms. Tax season is another time on Ryder's campus, one not taken so happily. However, 16 Ryder University accounting students have volunteered to offer tax help in the coming weeks to individuals who cannot afford professional tax help through the Internal Revenue Service's Volunteer Return Preparation Program. This marks the 24th consecutive year Ryder students have participated in this community service program. Students will provide the services at the Bart Luedeke Center lobby on Ryder's Lawrenceville campus at scheduled times between February 6th and March 3rd, on Tuesdays from 6 to 9 p.m., Thursdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Saturdays from 12:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Donald Shaw, an adjunct professor of accounting, will serve as coordinator of the volunteer effort this year. Tax returns will once again be prepared using professional software on laptops. Individuals seeking assistance should bring their tax documents, such as W-2 forms, interest statements, copies of last year's return, as well as any IRS tax items received in the mail. Not only are taxes a financial burden on students, but a college education can leave students tens of thousands of dollars in debt after graduation. How students are preparing for life after graduation will affect how well they can manage their debt. Nicholas Balassi reports.
Despite a recent congressional vote to cut interest rates on federally guaranteed student loans, college tuition costs have put a burden on the backs of many young Americans. Senior Scott Johnson has accumulated a debt much larger than the national average of $20,000.
When all said and done, probably looking towards $40,000 to $50,000.
Senior Jave Galt Miller took 2 years of his college education at a community college before coming to Ryder University, but he still has to pay thousands of dollars in loans upon graduating.
I am editing at a small production company in Mount Laurel, Your World Productions, and plus I work at the TV studio at Ryder. I started at a county college for 2 years, but even with that and 2 years at Ryder, and even with some pretty good scholarships, I'll still be about $30,000 in debt probably.
Now, over the past 20 years, inflation has increased by 84%, as measured by the Consumer Price Index. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says that the cost of tuition, including housing fees, at both public and private institutions, have increased faster than the rate of inflation. The College Board says these costs have tripled. In the 1985 to 1986 academic year, comprehensive costs at public schools totaled $3,791. For this academic year, they are $12,796. At private colleges and universities, 20 years ago, comprehensive costs totaled $8,902. For this academic year, the number is a whopping $30,367. In the past, Ryder University has attributed their tuition increases to the hiring of professors to keep class sizes small, as well as new technology. Ryder University financial aid counselor Nancy Kennedy explains how students can best prepare for paying off their college loans.
First of all, borrow only what you need.
By borrowing excess, you'll have excess to pay back in the long run with interest attached. To know about your loans, to know about your lenders, the interest rates, and when you will be expected to pay things back. If you need to learn more about that, you can always meet with your Student Financial Services counselor, and they'll be happy to lay it all out for you. I would also suggest working during the school year and during the summer so that you have reserves. When you do go into repayment, you will have some extra money in case you need it to pay back your loans on time. And on-time payments are actually really important. It will allow you to get the perks that lenders offer. They'll lower interest rates or forgive some amount of your principal for on-time payments.
For the news at Rider, I'm Nicholas Balsi.
The Public Works Department in Lawrenceville is also doing their best to serve the community. They are replacing all old signs that regulate parking on certain streets in town during periods of snow, but it's causing some residents to worry about their parking situations. A 1992 ordinance for emergency streets and main thoroughfares stated that there would be no parking when the specified streets were snow-covered. Residents have to remove their vehicles from the streets for a few hours until the streets have been plowed. If residents have not removed their vehicles during a period of snow, they are fined. The signs from 1992 had been worn or damaged through vandalism over the years and have been replaced. Snow also means ice. Lake Carnegie and 2 other skating ponds, Community Park North and Barbas Moyer Park, have been declared open for skating. Following tests early this week, the Princeton Recreation Department declared the lake safe for skaters and available for use dawn to dusk. The Recreation Department issued advice to skaters. Each person must use good common sense at all times and be alert to changing ice and weather conditions. Those who choose to skate do so at their own risk. As the skating areas are natural bodies of water, when they freeze, some irregularities may occur on the surface. Also, never skate alone. Parents are responsible for their children when skating. Ice skating is permitted only when the ice is a minimum of 4 inches on the ponds and 5 inches on Lake Carnegie in the entire authorized area, according to the Recreation Department, and the surface is considered safe in the sense that the majority of the surface is smooth, not rough, bumpy, or jagged. For directions, students can call the Recreation Department at 609-921-9480. From all of us at Channel 20, thanks for watching.